Good morning, traders. Risk-free Second Skies Trading. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys had a good Monday. Monday was a very busy day with the stock market. Lots of big moves. We just closed out our Fcel trade. Bought it. We bought way back at 2.7. Then we added at 5.7. Then we added at 5.69, and then we added at 6.8. And we just closed that out at was it 8.95? So 2.15, $2.15 profit on that one there on the stock itself. Big jump, which was awesome. It was a great way to start the week. So hopefully you have been taking advantage of that. There's some really big moves going on right now. Markets seem to be really volatile, incredibly volatile right now. There's a lot of pre-market volume. If you look across the board, we have 9.8 million, 8.9 million, 4.1, 2.7, 2.7, 1.7, 1.6, 1.6, 1.2. You're talking, what is that? Almost 6, 7, 8 stocks that are over 1 million shares in pre-market trading. So lots going on right now. Some very big moves. We're going to talk about it, talk about trade setups. I have a couple trade setups I'm also looking to activate very, very soon. Just waiting for a little bit different price, and then I'm going to get long. So may happen pre-market, maybe not. We shall see. Okay, people were starting to roll in. So thank you for posting that, Sasha. I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to start off with looking at overnight futures. Justin, good to see you. Morning. We're going to start looking at overnight futures in ES. Well, actually, we'll start with Asia real quick. So Asia, green across the board, very, very strong. I think part of this, obviously, is the vaccine news. Part of it is that it looks like Trump is slowly starting to concede, even though he's fighting a lot of court battles. Fun fact, he's like 2-32 in his legal battles, so not doing so good. And so I just think with the vaccine, I think it's definitely accelerating certain things. Plus also low liquidity right now. The U.S., there's a holiday coming up on Thursday. Markets will be closed. In fact, they'll probably, I'm not sure if they're closing early on Wednesday, but you can expect liquidity and volumes to get very thin going into that. Certain indices are making all-time highs. There's just a lot of trades that should be taking right now. You should be involved. If you're not participating in the market right now, if you don't have any trades running or a lot of trades running, then I'm questioning what you're doing. There's so many things moving right now that you should have a huge portion of your portfolio active right now. If you have whatever, let's just say you have, 100K account, you should have a large chunk of that account active right now. With this kind of volatility and this kind of movement, this is a time to be active. So you need to be active in the markets. You can't be sitting around, waiting for things. There are tons and tons of setups out there happening right now. So Chi-Chan, good morning to you. And Christian Tor, good morning to you as well. So, all right. So overnight futures or overnight markets, very good in Asia. Europe, everything strong except for Switzerland. These are some decent numbers, 1%, 1.18%, 1%. It's pretty strong across the board. And then overnight in US, right now S&P futures are up about 0.8% and NASDAQ futures are up about 0.42%. So let's talk about some of the big movers and big ones on the list here. We're going to go to Benzinga real quick. Fcel, this is something that we've been trading very actively. Again, we bought way back at like 2.6, and then we added at 5.7, and then 5.69, and then we added at 6.8. So this thing is already off to a good start. It's already got 10 million pre-market. So its average daily volume has been 32 million, and we're already at 33% of that before the market's even opened. We still have 23 minutes before the market's opened, and we are already at 1/3 normal daily volume. So I'm expecting this to be a strong volume day. Looking at the chart at Fcel, so give you an idea, here is where we first bought, right around here. Then we bought at just above here on this breakout, 5.69. And then we added yesterday at 6.8. And here it is now, 9.41. We closed this morning on a dip into 8.95. That was our original target, so we closed. But we're probably going to add, I'm going to wait for a little bit of a dip on this one here, and then I'm going to add some more. Looking back at the weekly, we can see that, this thing was stuck from December 19 to literally 2 weeks ago between $3.50 and $1. And then in the last 2 weeks exploded from 3 till now we're above 9. So it's a 300% increase. It's huge. We are starting to get into some very interesting territory. So there's kind of like this RRL here. You got a support here. You got you got support here, breaks down, resistance. So this 940 is probably going to act as kind of a support right now, and we have to change the calculus. I was thinking when I originally got in this trade, I was like, well, if we get to 9, I'm going to feel like I'm going to be as happy as a cow, and I feel like now we have to rechange the calculus. This breakout is huge. Look at this huge surge in volume. That's a really good sign when you break out of a large structure that you've been in for a long time, that you get a big volume surge. We do have earnings coming up, but that's not till January. So this thing basically has free run for a move to happen all the way up into earnings. That means till the rest of the year, it's kind of open. So if 9493 is going to act as support, then where's the next resistance? Now we have to change the calculus. We're looking at 11 as potential resistance. And now we have to even push it even higher, 1493, which basically means 15. Like this thing has room to go. And a lot of times stocks like this, I've seen them that they're just consolidating for like, almost a year in a very tight range, huge volume explosion on the breakout. And they can often make runs into the 15s, into the 20s, maybe even into the 30s. Like I would not be surprised to see this stock get to 23 or maybe 28, 29. So I'm rechanging my position on this one here in the sense of now originally 9 was my goal. Now I'm raising the bar on this one here. So I feel like as long as you're above 358, you have to stay long. If you get below this here on a weekly basis, then the position's done. But I think you should be trading both options and stocks on this one here. Implied volatility right now is huge. It's clocking in. Yesterday was clocking in over 200%. That is extremely high in terms of implied volatility. That means options are very expensive right now. So if you're long the stock, you want to be selling covered calls on this. So FCEL, I'm going to wait. I'm going to look for a move back down to, there's this kind of 9.4 to, right here, 8.96. And I'm going to see if I can get a dip down to, 8.19, maybe even 7.78 before I get long. I would like to see a dip there. This is the first kind of consolidation. This is a very tight consolidation. This is a much bigger consolidation. So there's definitely a little more profit taking going on here. There's a little more distribution on both sides of the market. Before this, there really wasn't any. You're talking small corrective structure breakout, small corrective structure breakout. For those of you that are in my course, the PBO structure here, massive breakout. And now we're having a larger corrective structure. So there's a greater presence of counter trend players. And therefore we should be looking for a slightly deeper pullback. So that's what I'm looking for on FCEL. Wallball, yo, good morning to you. All right, Mara, another one. This is a blockchain stock, if I'm correct. Yeah, Marathon Patent Group is I think they are invested heavily in blockchain. We're going to talk about, let's see if I can get some information on the float is 8.36 million. Okay, so yeah, I think they're mostly focused on blockchain. I think that's their big thing. Let's see what this was here. News. Okay. So blockchain is really hot right now. Crypto is really hot. We said several months, I don't know, maybe several weeks ago that we said Bitcoin's going to 20K easily this year. And I think Bitcoin's got a lot more to run. So a lot of Bitcoin stocks are getting pulled up with this. We are long Bitcoin, but we're long Bitcoin via another instrument, which I think is better to trade than Bitcoin itself. So Mara is another one of those stocks that it's kind of like it's ripping, but at the same time, it's kind of in a similar phase that Fcel was. So Fcel was kind of stuck and hemmed in that range for a while. And Mara has been, it hasn't been above $5 on a weekly basis, on a weekly closing basis since you're talking 2018. And we saw a big volume surge into this, a little bit of a pullback, and now we're seeing a big volume surge again. And it's now retesting these highs. It's actually above it pre-market. So if this becomes support, then this has room for a pretty big breakout. There was, I think it was HW Wainwright, I forget whoever initiated coverage. They had a 750 price target, which does make sense technically because you can kind of see all this resistance here. You can see it all right there. But I think you might have to change the calculus on this one here. If it were to clear this, then you're talking, you know, maybe a move all the way to $21. That's a huge potential run. And these types of stocks are attracting that kind of interest. Bitcoin is attracting institutional interest, but not via Bitcoin directly. And it's starting to, there are a lot of money managers and fund managers and institutional players that are getting involved in crypto, but they're not doing it via the crypto coins themselves. And so you have to start looking for alternate instruments. And I like this because, you know, Bitcoin right now, 19,000. You're not going to be able to buy a whole lot of that. This you can buy a whole lot of. We'll talk about another one that you can buy a whole lot of, GBTC. This is how I've been my preferred way of trading Bitcoin. This tracks the price of Bitcoin. It's a Bitcoin trust. This is where all the institutional players are going. So, you know, I like this. I like trading this because I don't have to worry about a digital wallet. I can just buy and sell with my broker. It's done. It's easy. And it's a little more regulated. So, and it's where a lot of the institutional players are going. And so if I was to overlay, let's compare. You can see this is what it does. It tracks the price of crypto. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to mimic the price of crypto via a trust. Too bad there's no dividend. That would have been awesome. But with that being said, I think this thing has run right now. It's at, let's close out this. Right now it's at 23 pre-market, I think. Yeah, pre-market it's at 23. That puts it right about here. And I think there's scope for this thing to run to 29.30. You know, maybe even all the way up to 38. And I think Bitcoin it should tag the all-time highs this year. I think there's a pretty good probability, better than 50-50 chance that it's going to break the all-time highs this year. And I'm suspecting that Bitcoin is setting up for a much bigger run. And I'm expecting Bitcoin to, you know, probably hit about 30K next year. So that's where I'm leaning towards on Bitcoin right now, but I'm trading it via GBTC, which is a great vehicle to trade it. So if you're not already long GBTC, then I would say, let's pull. I think right now it's just trailing the weekly VWAP. I think any pullback to the weekly VWAP, it hasn't really stayed below it that much. So I think any pullback to the weekly VWAP would be a decent buy point. You know, we're talking right about 2184. If you happen to get lucky, 2064. But I would be looking to add, if you're not already long, I would be looking to get long via GBTC. Okay, so we've already covered Bitcoin. Let's see here. Let's look at NEO, another hot stock. So we've been long NEO for quite a while. We took some profit last week, and then we added on to our position this week. I'm trying to think of where we got in, somewhere like 48s. I think we got in high 48s. It's now 56, and we have covered calls on this. So not only are we making money on the stock itself, we're making money on the options as well. We got two incomes on this trade right now. And so Bitcoin NEO has had a massive run. This is an incredibly parabolic move. I am cautious on this one here because this move is incredibly parabolic. And while it can overshoot farther than I suspect, I mean, this is all-time highs. It's been making all-time highs since August this year. This is just an incredible run. You know, people are talking about like, oh, Tesla's been such a great stock. Yeah, this is up like, what, 1,500%? More than that, maybe? It's killing Tesla. So when I look at, you know, a stock to be trading, these are the stocks I like to trade that have these massive runs. This run, though, is incredibly parabolic. And I thought after this week, it might be topping out. It's just continuing to attract more interest. The numbers came out positive for earnings. It was a positive surprise. And even though profitability has increased, they do have some headwinds expected, but they're taking over market share of electric vehicles from Tesla in China. So they are becoming a major competitor, and we're seeing a big volume surge on this push through here. So volume is a little bit lighter this week. We're going to have to see how that plays out. But this, you know, yesterday it generated 270 million shares. That is a big, big trading day. And as you can see, you know, it opened right around 50 and it closed at 55. That's a 10% gain in one day. Find me a Forex pair that moves 10% one day. you're not going to find it. So with that being said, we are starting to get kind of, again, a little bit of a distribution. This could be profit taking ahead of the holidays. That's a possibility. There could be some unwinding of that. I personally don't want to chase any at this point. I'm still holding my longs from 48. So at this point, if I wanted to add on to NEO, if you are not already long in NEO, then I would suggest looking for a little bit of a deeper pullback, maybe 54, or potentially wait for a move back down to, say, 51 or 50. I think that would be your better buy zone. Wait for a move back down to 51 or 50. I think we're going to get a pullback on this one here. It had this incredible run here and then sold off aggressively on earnings and then is built back up. So I would wait for a little bit of pullback at this point. We're starting to see some decent distribution and change in the order flow there. Okay, so let's see here. Constantine Munif, Chris, glad to hear you as well. Constantine, good to see you. Byron Walker, hi Chris. Are you adding shipping companies into your watch list? Demand of container prices has gone up in the past few months. Not right now, because some of the shipping companies can be pretty pricey, and I prefer trying to get stocks in the $5 to $50 range. Most of the stocks I trade are in the $5 to $50 range because I can buy a lot more shares of them. And whereas some of the shipping container companies are getting expensive, there are some that are pretty decent. If you have one that you want me to take a look at, I'm happy to. I do think shipping container stocks are decent plays, but in terms of where I'm getting the best rate of return, EV space right now is really hot. Anything ESG is hot. So ESG stands for energy, sustainability, and green tech. And that's just super hot right now. And so shipping container stocks hot, but I'm not seeing massive institutional interest move into them. I am seeing institutional interest move into FCEL. I am seeing institutional interest move into MARA, into GBTC. I'm seeing a lot of these different ones, but yeah, if you have a particular stock that you think is decent, I'm happy to take a look. Next stock on the list, Space, the final frontier. Okay, so we got Space, which is Virgin Galactic. Chalmuth, I can't say his last name. He's one of the, original execs at Facebook. He left, made his money, took off, invested in a lot of companies. He's big in Tesla. He's big in this company, and I got a pretty decent sized position on this one. I've been holding for quite a long time. I've been long in Space since, was it 21, 20, bought many times on the dip. Now, yesterday I had a really good rip. So we broke major structural highs. This was major high. It hadn't broken below this. Opened 23.8 and then just made it all the way 25. It came right back to this prior resistance, now support. That's what we call an RRL, roll reversal level. So now that becomes short-term support. So if you're not already long, then I would look at potentially getting long around pullbacks to 24.77. This does have a tendency to dip a little bit. So you got to look at the structure more like this. That's, I think, the better way to look at the structure. There's a little bit of this here, but you could extend this if you want to and just do it like that. So look for deep dips on this one here and get long, but it's just consistently the dips are swinging and they're continually being bought up. And for those of you wondering what's the major level that it broke through, so it hadn't been above this since July this year, and now it's above it. So pre-market rate about here. I have both options and stock plays on this one here. My covered calls, I think, are December or January expiry, and they're a 27 target. So my target on this one is 27. If we get to 27, then I'm just going to hold at that point, let my covered calls expire, hopefully below 27, therefore worthless, which means I get to keep all the profit from that, and then I'll close out the stock position. So that's how I'm trading that one. But Space, I think, is a really good overall play. Jason Kidd, good to see you. Morning. Hope everything is well. Everything is well. Very strong start to the week. And yeah, hope the same for you. How are we doing on time? 6:23. Okay, got a few minutes towards market open. Mara is pre-market. It's ripping a little bit. It's not giving me the dip I wanted. Man, maybe I should have taken that long at 5. Yeah. Okay, I might have to get a little aggressive on this one here. And this one's not quite pulling back as much as possible. So yeah, I might have to get aggressive on them pretty soon. Real quick plug, another one, EV Space, looking really strong. We had cash secure puts on this one here. So if the market rises, then those puts continue to make more and more money for us. We keep the premium basically. This thing is just continuing to go gangbusters as well. Not quite as bullish as Neo, but quite impressive. 445 to 26. That is what, almost a 700% gain. And we've been buying many points along the way. In terms of getting long at this point, looking at the 1 hour, very similar to Neo. It's been tracking the weekly VWAP. So I think a pullback maybe to 26 wouldn't be bad if you can get maybe to 25.54, which is this prior swing high here, or 24.12, which, let's pull back a little bit. Plug has been around for a while. Let's go to the weekly. So the 24.12 matches up with this kind of resistance support. And this thing is just extending. So we're talking maybe 29. We could see a move even higher if it gets really ebullient. You're talking 34 and 50, maybe even 45. And this thing is just, it's very similar to Neo, stuck in a tight range for a long time between $6 and a couple bucks. This is 6 years. And then you see a huge volume explosion on the breakout. As it breaks this, volume continues to surge. So, this volume has been increasing steadily as the breakout has been manifesting. Very good signs of a breakout. I think we're kind of getting in lofty territory for plug. I think maybe around 30, and then it might start to pull back. But these markets have been incredibly ebullient. So, yeah, I prefer a little bit of a dip, maybe to 26 on this one before getting long. Konstantin Manif, what do you think about buying gold from 1965 an ounce? Are you bullish or bearish, Konstantin? Remember, instrument, time frame, and bullish or bearish. 1 sentence description. Wallball, what do you think of an infrastructure play like $X or ARNC? ARNC, I think, is a great infrastructure play. I like ARNC, one of my more preferred stocks. So yes, I think that's a very good play. Tesla, of course, a good play, but it's over. I think it's just, it's up 10% in the last 2 weeks, but it's $500 a share. Why not buy another stock that's up 10%, pay less capital and make more money return? So ARNC, I think, is a great infrastructure play. We bought ARNC way back in the 20s and we took profit. I'm trying to think of somewhere around here. In terms of where I'd like to get long on ARNC, that's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I would like to see a little bit more of maybe around 26.18. I mean, this is pretty impulsive, corrective, strong impulsive buying off 27.73. So it's probably going to retest, 29.80 and 30. But I would like to wait for a dip to 28 or 26 before getting long. But I think ARNC is a great infrastructure play. You can also do XME. XME is also a good infrastructure play. So this is very similar. It's metals and mining. It's got some precious metal exposure in it, but it's got other metals as well. So these, if you're going to do infrastructure plays, I think XME and ARNC are great infrastructure plays. Both provide a dividend. Not huge, but both provide a dividend. One of our Dutch students has been long XME since, low 20s. Maybe even, yeah, he's been in long low 20s and he just keeps adding. He's just killing it on this. He's killing it. Absolutely killing it on this right now. So yeah. Let's see here. Let's see gold. In terms of gold seems to be losing a little bit of its luster. And I think part of this is because now that the vaccine is out, where that was part of the reason why gold was doing so well. Also, it was kind of a hedge against problems in the election, in the US election. So, I think now gold is starting to see a lot of things unwind. Precious metals are no longer becoming as hot. People are preferring to be involved in Bitcoin, and people are starting to be involved in other plays versus gold. I mean, this is a pretty decent sell-off. Let's go to 4 hour real quick. Actually, we can start off with weekly. If it had held 1850, I think it would have been fine, but it had a decent bounce, but then a very weak bounce and is now broken through. So now 1845 is resistance. I don't really see any buy points till 1750, maybe 1684. There was 1637, but that no longer kind of matters anymore. So I think 1685 is a potential buy point. But right now, I wouldn't be buying short term, because if we look at that, let's look at 4-hour. Okay, so what do you see here? Double tap on support here. Pretty strong bounce, 1850 to 1930. That's an $8 bounce. Comes back, rips higher, massive sell-off. This is a huge unwinding of longs. This is a lot of money. And notice how this bounce is noticeably weaker than this bounce. And then this bounce is even weaker. And then the breakthrough. So short term, I can't be long gold. I think short term, you have to be bearish. The short term, the order flow is against it. Medium term, I think there is some potential plays, but I wouldn't look to get long till 1680, maybe 1745. But I don't see how we can be long on a short term basis on gold right now. I think short term it's bearish. So, okay, that's the market close. I'm going to switch to live trading with our stock trading course members. And so with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Smash the like button. I do appreciate that. It helps us, and it shows to me that you guys are benefiting from this. I don't get paid for this that I just did. This is all for your benefit. So if you appreciate that, hit the like button. It helps us. We appreciate that a lot. And if you'd like to see more of doing more of these, then smash the like button. We need to see people that are getting value out of this. And by hitting the like button, subscribing to our channel, it lets us know that you want to see more free videos like this. So with that being said, I'm going to get to live trading with the stock trading course members. Good luck trading today, and I will see you guys next time, which will